You hand them your trust, you expect them, to be the shield when danger strikes, that line that's never crossed. But what if the uniform, the badge, the actual symbol of protection was really just a mask for something monstrous?
Today, we're doing a deep dive into the terrifying true story of Anthony Sully. He was a California cop who became a cold-blooded serial killer. We're going to try and unpack the profound deception woven into his double life.
Yeah, it's a really chilling scene. It all unfolds in San Mateo County, California, back in 1983. And Anthony Sully, well, he wasn't some shadowy figure hiding out. He was a reserve police officer. People who worked with him actually described him as intelligent, professional, even well-spoken.
Wow, professional.
Exactly. And it just shows how, our trust in authority figures can sometimes blind us. The uniform itself almost becomes a tool for deception. Nobody suspected that deep beneath the badge. Well, something truly horrifying was hiding right there in plain sight. And what a horror it was hiding. So we're going to journey through how Sully managed to maintain this shocking double life. The brutal extent of his crimes, too. And maybe surprisingly, the almost mundane way his whole reign of terror eventually just crumbled, even though he tried so hard meticulously to cover his tracks. It really is a story about the ultimate betrayal of public trust. To really get a handle on the horror, I think we need to start by dissecting this dual existence he had. On one hand, you've got the trusted, educated law enforcement officer, but then our sources describe a guy completely lacking empathy. A master manipulator. How did he even manage that? Such a stark contrast, letting the monster live so close to the badge.
Well, that's the crucial question, isn't it? The sources show Sully didn't just hide his dark side. He actually leveraged his public persona. His role as protector basically made him invisible to suspicion. It allowed these horrific acts to happen right under everyone's noses.
Unbelievable.
And his hidden lair, this old warehouse in South San Francisco, it really exemplifies it. To the neighbors, it just looked like a mechanic shop. Totally innocuous.
Right, nothing to see there.
Exactly. But in reality, it was the perfect place for him to carry out his twisted urges far away from watchful eyes. That whole setup just perfectly shows how he used the mundane, the everyday, to hide something truly monstrous.
It's unnerving to think something so dark could come out of such a seemingly normal life. And the first real glimpse of that darkness, that came in March of '83, right? That's when Kathleen Barfield's body was found in a remote field near Pleasanton. And the brutality, it was just undeniable. She'd been shot multiple times, beaten, and wrapped in a tarp.
Yeah, and what becomes clear pretty much immediately is the motive. Kathleen had a brief relationship with Sully, and apparently she found out about his criminal dealings. She wanted out. So this wasn't random violence at all. Sully's victims were all connected in some way to Sully. They threatened his secrets.
Ah, so that was the link.
That seems to be it. He needed to silence them. His crimes were these cold, calculated acts of self-preservation.
And the level of deception involved? It's almost unthinkable. Sully, the cop, actually showed up to assist in the investigation of Barfield's murder.
Right.
That act alone just tells you so much about his mindset. How did that affect the early stages? I mean, knowing a cop was involved.
Well, it just highlights the chilling audacity that defined him, doesn't it? Him being there at the crime scene, maybe offering insights or help. That would have been a really effective diversion. And after Kathleen, the scope of his crimes, it just broadened quickly. Between March and May of 1983, which is a terrifyingly short period, more victims started emerging. Brenda O'Connor, Jackie Vaughn, Kathleen's roommate, and others. It ended up being a total of 5 women and 1 man murdered.
5 women and 1 man. And his methods, just horrifying. He tortured some of his victims. He shot them and wrapped them in plastic, and then he kept them hidden in his warehouse. It paints a picture of just extreme cruelty, but also meticulous planning.
Exactly. And that meticulousness, it wasn't just about covering his tracks. It points to this chilling level of, calculated control over their lives and their deaths. The source material even compares his actions to a mob hitman, precise, cold, and calculated. Wow. But the chilling irony, the real betrayal, is that he was supposed to be the law. He wasn't killing for passion, not at all. It was entirely to cover his tracks. Every single act was about maintaining that elaborate secret life.
So after constructing this whole facade so meticulously, how did it finally start to come crashing down? It sounds like the unraveling began with something pretty routine, right? A missing person report for Brenda O'Connor, who was Sully's ex.
That's exactly right. And this is where, a seemingly minor detail ends up bringing down this whole carefully built house of cards. A friend of Brenda O'Connor had seen her with him just days before she vanished.
Okay, that's direct contradiction.
Direct contradiction to Sully's story. He claimed she'd just left town. But, as the source says pretty plainly, no one bought it. That small inconsistency, that was the crack that just shattered his whole deceptive structure.
And that crack led straight to the turning point then. A warrant was issued, which finally let authorities search Sully's warehouse.
Yes, and what they found inside was just an unspeakable horror. The warehouse had bloodstains, bullet holes, rope, plastic, all the evidence. And then, one by one, the bodies were found, confirming the full, horrific extent of his crimes. The very meticulousness he used to hide his victims, well, that ultimately provided the proof needed to expose him.
Justice, thankfully, did eventually arrive. Sully went on trial in 1986, and the courtroom was stunned, I imagine. The revelation of a former police officer being exposed as this ruthless serial killer.
Absolutely stunned. He was convicted on 6 counts of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to death. However, this is where Sully's case really illustrates the complex and often very long reality of capital punishment, especially in California. To this day, he still sits on death row. He's never been executed.
Still, after all this time.
Still. And reportedly never showing remorse. That journey from conviction to actual execution, it can span decades. It raises some deep questions about justice delayed,
Yeah.
and the whole evolving moral landscape of punishment.
It's a story that, even though it happened decades ago, it still holds these chilling echoes for us today. I mean, just consider the disturbing proximity of evil in this case. He could have been your neighbor.
Right.
Your traffic stop cop.
Yeah.
Your local patrol officer walking the beat.
Yeah, this case really forces us to confront a pretty chilling truth. The most dangerous betrayals, they often don't come from the shadows. They come from within the very structures we're taught to trust. It challenges our basic assumptions about safety and authority. And it makes you ask, doesn't it, how many others like him might still be out there hiding behind the badge?
It's a terrifying thought. Evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a uniform. Trust carefully and listen closely, because sometimes the protector is the predator.